Every great empire eventually discovers the same dangerous tool: debt. At first, it seems harmless. Borrowed money fuels growth, builds cities, finances armies, and expands influence. But over time, something changes. The same tool that once strengthened the empire begins quietly weakening it. And when historians look back at the fall of powerful civilizations, they often discover the same pattern, a pattern hidden inside rising debt. Because across centuries, empires rarely collapse only because of invasion. They collapse because they become financially unsustainable. And by the time the crisis becomes visible, the spiral is already too powerful to stop. Debt has always been one of the most powerful forces in history. It allows nations to spend beyond their immediate resources, to wage wars they cannot yet afford, to build infrastructure faster than taxes alone would allow, to expand power rapidly. For a time, this works remarkably well. Borrowing accelerates growth, but it also creates a hidden vulnerability, because debt has a simple rule: it must eventually be repaid. And when empires accumulate too much of it, repayment becomes impossible without painful consequences: higher taxes, currency debasement, inflation, or political upheaval. This is where the debt cycle begins, and history shows it as repeated again and again. The Roman Empire once controlled the largest economy of the ancient world. Its roads connected continents. Its legions secured vast territories. Its trade networks moved wealth across the Mediterranean. But maintaining such a massive empire was expensive. Armies needed to be paid. Borders needed defending. Public works demanded enormous resources. As Rome expanded, so did its financial obligations. Taxes alone were no longer enough. So Roman rulers turned to borrowing and currency debasement. Silver coins gradually lost their purity. The money supply expanded. At first, the changes seemed manageable, but inflation slowly spread throughout the empire. Confidence in the currency weakened. Trade became unstable, and economic pressure began undermining the very system that sustained Rome's power. The empire still appeared strong on the surface, but underneath, financial instability was growing. Centuries later, Spain became the dominant global power. After discovering massive silver deposits in the Americas, Spain accumulated enormous wealth. Its empire stretched across continents. Its fleets controlled global trade routes. Yet despite this abundance, Spain faced a similar problem: war. Maintaining a vast empire required constant military campaigns. To fund these wars, the Spanish crown borrowed heavily from European bankers. Debt piled up rapidly. Even with rivers of silver flowing into the empire, Spain struggled to meet its obligations. Repeated defaults damaged financial credibility. Inflation spread across Europe, and slowly, Spain's economic dominance faded. Once again, the pattern repeated. Wealth created expansion. Expansion created debt. Debt eventually created instability. In the 18th century, France was one of the most powerful nations in Europe. Its culture dominated the continent. Its armies rivaled any in the world. But the French monarchy carried an enormous financial burden. Decades of war had created massive debt. Interest payments consumed huge portions of the state budget. Attempts to reform taxation failed. And as the financial crisis deepened, political tensions exploded. In 1789, the system finally broke. The French Revolution erupted, and one of Europe's most powerful monarchies collapsed. Once again, the financial system had reached its breaking point. By the 19th century, Britain had become the world's leading power. Its navy controlled the oceans. Its financial institutions dominated global markets. The British pound became the center of international trade. But even Britain could not escape the debt cycle. 2 world wars forced the nation to borrow enormous sums. By the mid-20th century, the financial burden had grown unsustainable. Britain gradually lost its position as the world's dominant power, and a new superpower emerged. Across these examples, a clear pattern emerges. The debt cycle tends to unfold in several stages. First, economic growth allows an empire to accumulate wealth. Second, expansion increases spending and military commitments. Third, Borrowing accelerates development and strengthens global influence. Fourth, debt grows faster than the economy. Fifth, financial pressure forces governments to debase currency or inflate the money supply. Sixth, trust in institutions weakens. And finally, the empire's financial foundation begins to fracture. At that moment, power begins shifting to new systems and new nations. Today, global debt has reached unprecedented levels. Governments, corporations, and households collectively owe more than at any point in history. Modern economies are deeply interconnected. Financial systems are more complex than ever before, but the fundamental dynamics of debt remain the same. Borrowing can accelerate growth, but excessive debt creates fragility. And history suggests that when financial systems reach extreme levels of leverage, major transitions often follow. Not necessarily immediate collapse, but gradual transformation, a shift in global power, a restructuring of economic systems, the beginning of a new cycle. Empires rarely recognize the danger while it is unfolding. Debt grows slowly. Crises emerge gradually. And for a long time, the system appears stable. But history tells a consistent story. Rome, Spain, France, Britain, each believed its financial system could sustain unlimited expansion. Each believed the rules of history no longer applied, and each eventually discovered the same truth. Debt can build empires, but it can also quietly destroy them, because in the long arc of history, no empire escapes the cycle.